Greetings in the bonds of peace, and welcome to the Vision on Ishi. My name is Dr. Sean Lyons, a forever student of the divine vision and revelation given to the founder of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, who had his vision and revelation in the year of 1931 in the state of Ohio at 9 a.m., June 6th, first watch, third hour and day of Pentecost according to Yahweh's prophetic timetable given to the Hebrew nation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley proved these facts on 3 ecclesiastical peace missions around the world to every religious organization and school of the highest learning from 1958 to 1976. As a result of his divine vision and revelation, he transcribed God, the archetype, original pattern of the universe. This publication was given to every queen and king of the earth and their progenies, including all presidents-elects, until 1980, along with a Holy Land Version Bible, revised by A.B. Trainer, an Italian Hebrew. The Holy Name Bible reveals the true and correct name and title of the Heavenly Father and His Son. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. His divine title is Elohim. The name of the Son is Yahshua the Messiah, whom the whole world erroneously calls Jesus Christ. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley revealed to the world on his peace missions within his publications the threefold tabernacle pattern which Yahweh Elohim revealed to him atop Mount Sinai in the year of 1490 BBY. And commanded Moses to build one, just like it in the wilderness of Sinai, which was the establishment of the law of cardinal ordinances. Yahweh Elohim led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt and established the Passover. After 40 years, Yahweh Elohim had commissioned Moses to place his hand upon Yahshua, the son of Nun, in the audience of the children of Israel, to give Yahshua charge to lead the children of Israel to the promised land before Moses had entered into Mount Nebo. 33 days later, Eleazar and the sons of Aaron, bearing the ark of the covenant, placed the soles of their feet upon the river Jordan, and it opened up like unto the Red Sea. Therefore, Yahshua, the son of Nun, commissioned 12 men of valor to retrieve 12 stones from the midst of the river Jordan, as a witness unto the children of Israel, that the Red Sea had opened up like unto the river Jordan, fulfilling his promise to Father Abraham 430 years before the law, that the children of Israel will receive Canaan's land for their inheritance. Yahshua, the son of Nun, numbered the children of Israel, confirming the covenant of circumcision of Abraham's seed to the cherubim Michael, captain of the host of Yahweh, before their 40-year conquest, to remove the reproach of Egypt from the children of Israel entering into the promised land. This can be confirmed in Revelations, the 7th chapter, verses 1 through 4. 480 years after the children of Israel had departed out of the land of Egypt, the foundation of this temple was laid. 7 years to the completion of this temple in correlation to the 7 days of creation. And in correlation to the phenomenal 3 days, it took 3 years to defer, so that all the instruments within the tabernacle upon Mount Zion will be placed within the temple of King Solomon upon Mount Moriah. This was a total of a 490-year cycle. The same divine service that was carried out for 40 years within the wilderness of Sinai was carried out in King Solomon's temple for 33 years, before the destruction and invasion of Canaan's land by the king of Egypt, King Shishak. This was revealed to John on the Isle of Patmos that Yahshua was the true temple and the Lamb of Yahweh to take away the sins of the world. John therefore bared record that Yahshua told the Pharisees and scribes of his day to destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it again. But he spoke of the temple of his body. In like manner, John bared record that when the centurion guard had pierced Yahshua within his side, that forthwith came blood and water. Yahshua therefore had offered himself and his eternal spirit one time unto the Father to remove sin in the flesh by the operation of his death, his burial, and his resurrection. And the outpouring of his Holy Spirit on June 6, 33 AD, whereupon the 120 within the upper room was persecuted for the preaching that Yahshua the Messiah was a fulfillment of the law of Moses. In correlation to the 70 years of servitude, in correlation to the 7 years, that in the process of time, in AD 40, the Gentile nation would be engrafted into the body of the Messiah, forming one new man by the preaching and teaching and believing in the salvation which was once delivered unto the son or children of Yahweh, fulfilling his promise to Father Abraham, that all families of the earth would be blessed through thy seed singular, which is Yahshua the Messiah. These illustrations can be found on pages 42 in the 1961 edition and page 69 in the 12th edition of God the Archetype, Original Pattern of the Universe, called The Comparative Analysis of Moses and John of the Creation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley had given us rules of engagement pertaining to his vision that the manifestation will change, but the principle will remain the same. That being said, study to show thyself approved, a workman who needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And may the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, teach you all things. My aims and objective of these particular meetings is to help you find Yahshua the Messiah in your heart and in your mind. 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 5. 1 Corinthians 6, verses 17 through 20. And 2 Corinthians 3, verses 1 through 6. My second aim and objective is to show you how Yahweh wrote his laws in your inward parts. Jeremiah 31, 31. Hebrews 8, 10 through 13. My third aim is to help you discern the sons of Elohim and the sons of the devil. 1 John 3rd chapter, 1 John 4, 1 through 10. My fourth aim is to show and prove that Yahshua is the true Eloah whom Yahweh have sent. 1 John 5 and 20, John 17 and 3. My fifth aim and objective is to reveal that the children of faith in Yahshua the Messiah are the true seed of Abraham. Galatians 3 and 26 through verse 29. My sixth aim and objective is to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery from the beginning of the age, which has been hid in Yahweh, who created all things by Yahshua the Messiah. Ephesians 3 and 9. My seventh aim and objective, to endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bonds of peace. Ephesians 4 and 3. My eighth aim is to press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Yahshua the Messiah. Philippians 3:14. My ninth aim and objective is to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the nations, which is the Messiah in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1:27. My 10th aim and objective is proving the existence and destruction of Satan and his demons through the dispensation and ages. Romans 1:18-32 and Romans 2:1-16. At this particular time, we will have our scripture reading, a prayer, announcement, our script ascertainment and perception and direction exam, a speaker, our doxology, which is Ephesians, the 3rd chapter, verses 20-21. At this particular time, we will have our prayer. Heavenly Father, Yahshua, it's always a pleasure to be a minister of your great gospel, to be able to share these profound and beautiful revelations that you have been revealing to your servant pertaining to the scriptures and pertaining to the things that are taking place within the world today. My prayer, Heavenly Father, is for your mercy and your compassion upon thy servant. I ask that you allow your servant the spirit of endurance and righteousness. I ask, Heavenly Father, for strength, for faith, and from understanding of all things, especially your purpose. I ask, Heavenly Father, that you have me look clearly into your purpose and clearly into the things that are manifesting upon the world, and have your servant give an accurate, a true, and pure report of the things that you have revealed to me pertaining to your scriptures and pertaining to the dispensation and age that we are in. These humble prayers, Heavenly Father, I ask in the only begotten Son of Yahweh Elohim, Yahshua the Messiah. Hallelujah. At this particular time, we will be having our scripture lesson, which will be 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. I'll be reading to you out of the Holy Name Version Bible, critically compared with ancient authorities and various manuscripts revised by A.B. Trainer. Yahshua Promotions. 1 Thessalonians, 4th chapter, and it reads as follows. Furthermore, then we beseech you, brethren, and exhort you by the Savior, Yahshua, that as ye have received of us how ye ought to walk and to please Yahweh, so ye should abound more and more. For ye know what commandments we gave you by Yahshua the Messiah. For this is the will of Yahweh, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the passion of lust, even as the heathen, which know not Yahweh, that no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because that Yahweh is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified. For Yahweh have not called us unto uncleanness, but unto holiness. He therefore that despises not man, but Yahweh, who have also given unto us his Holy Spirit. But as touching brotherly love, ye need not that I write unto you, For ye yourselves are taught of Yahweh to love one another. And indeed, ye do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia. But we beseech you, brethren, that ye increase more and more, and that ye study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we command you, that ye may walk honest toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahshua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahshua will he bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of Yahweh, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Savior shall not prevent them which are asleep. For Yahshua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of Yahweh. And the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. Then which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet Yahshua in the air. And so shall we ever be with him. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. I have read 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. At this particular time, we will go into our announcements. At this particular time, our announcement will be Dr. Johnson is not with us at this particular time. He's currently at work, possibly have to work late this evening. Elder Van Hook is possibly co-facilitating another class or busy with her work schedule. So be that as it may, if neither one of them is able to join us this evening, may Yahweh bless them in their endeavor and keep them safe. So at this particular time, we will continue with our ecologies. And our ecologies geographically takes us to Antarctica. It says here that Antarctica Doomsday Glacier is fighting an invisible battle against the inner Earth. New studies found underground heat is cooking the IThes Glacier from below and could push it closer to collapse. West Antarctica is one of the fastest warming regions on Earth. For evidence, you need look no further than IThes Glacier, also known as the Doomsday Glacier. Since 1980, IThes has lost an estimate of 595 billion tons, which is 540 billion metric tons of ice. Single-handedly contributed 4% to the annual global sea level rising. At this time, Live Science previously reported the glacier rate of ice loss has accelerated substantially in the past 3 decades, partially due to hidden rivers of comparatively warm seawater sliding across the glacier's underbelly, as well as unmitigated climate change warming the air and the ocean. In a study published August 18th in a journal, Communication Earth Environments, researchers and analysts, geomagnetic field data from West Antarctica to create new maps of geothermal heat flow in the region. So here in this particular ecology, it is sharing and revealing to us that this particular glacier has been having, as it says, it says that the ice lossage is from interwarming seawater and it's sliding across the glacier. And when I look at this and I read this particular ecology, it takes me here to the vision that's right here. And what I'll do is I'll basically zoom in just a little bit so that you can understand and see what I'm talking about pertaining to this particular ecology here. Now here, it is talking about the glacier, okay? And it's talking about the Doomsday Glacier, as well as the IThes Glacier, because that's the original name of it, okay? We understand that these particular glaciers, that they are at each point or pole, see, pertaining to the North Pole and pertaining to the South Pole, pertaining to these particular areas, pertaining to its particular regions on where it's talking about. And so therefore, we understand that at the North Pole is very cold and at the South Pole that is very cold. But what it's saying is at this particular time that because of global warming, we understand that these particular glaciers are melting and it's allowing the particular sea level to rise at this particular time. Now, when we look here and we see how we got this particular globe manifesting right here, and we come right here and we see how it is correlated to this particular temple, which is King Solomon's temple. Let me come back just a little bit so that you can be able to see these particular principles. And we're coming here and we see how we have this spiritual law line that is manifesting right here, that is going right here to King Solomon's temple, okay? We understand that this whole entire creation is relative unto King Solomon's temple, as well as King Solomon's temple is related unto the creation, because we understand that pertaining to how this structural building was it was built according to threefold nature, 1, 2, 3, according to the threefold tabernacle pattern that Yahweh Elohim have revealed to Moses here within the wilderness of Sinai. Let me slide this over. I do apologize. So we come and we look at these particular principles that it's talking about pertaining to this particular glacier, okay? And we understand that everything is built after this threefold intangible tabernacle, as I said, was built here within the wilderness, okay? We understand that this was a structure that was divinely instructed of Yahweh to build, as well as this particular temple. We're coming here and we're seeing how pertaining to this, and we look and we see how this is, that this oracle that's manifesting right here is principle as the sun, okay? Which is manifested right here. All right. Let me as well just come back just a tad so I can make sure that you grasp these particular principles. And so therefore we see how we have the sun related here to the earth plane. All right. So therefore pertaining to how we see this, which is a manifestation of spirit law, we understand that pertaining to these particular principles, we understand that when we look at these particular colorations that we have broke down these particular colorations. We're talking about the yellow, the red, and the white, because they are pertaining to Yahshua Messiah. And we're revealing to you that pertaining to King Solomon's temple, which is structured after the body of Yahshua Messiah, how that this whole entire creation is within the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah. And that's what this is related to, okay? So therefore, by these particular principles, when it's talking about how that this particular glacier is having internal heat situations, is saying that heat is cooking the IThes Glacier from below. So what we do is that we come here to the vision that's being revealed as well here. And so therefore, when we hear these particular principles of how it says that this particular glacier is being cooked from below, that what we do is that we come here to the fourth day of creation, all right? And so therefore, we come here and we look at the principles pertaining to when we come here to Yahshua's feet, and we're seeing how that we understand that when we come to the fourth day of creation, that this down here is a manifestation of winter and things are frozen, okay? And when we come to the season of winter and we seeing how these things are frozen, okay, because of the season winter in this particular plate here, which is the fourth day of creation, that is given an explanation of how Yahweh Elohim have placed the sun, the moon, and the stars within the creation, as well as Yahweh Elohim have broke down the seasons, okay? We have summer here, we have a division between spring and winter here. And when we come here, we have fall and we have winter. And this is described by how you see the ice that's manifesting here upon the mountains. And we're showing how this is a manifestation of wintertime because things is inundated in snow or things are frozen, okay, pertaining to these particular principles. When we come up here and we look and we see how, when we're looking over the head cavity of Yahshua Messiah pertaining to Yahshua's aura, and we look at this red that's pertaining to this particular plate that's behind him, we understand that this is an explanation of the magma chambers or the interior portion of this particular plate, okay? And we always share with you that Yahshua over here is manifesting the interior part of the creation. So here, as I said, this is revealing the inner organic altar of the earth right here, to where how was saying how everything is heating itself up below, okay? So therefore, when we look at the fourth day of creation, picking up the principles of heat and revealing to you by what's going on underneath the earth plane, pertaining to how we see this particular fire heating up Yahshua the Messiah, or how Yahshua Messiah's feet is on fire, consuming the creation, that we see how this is principles of how these particular glaciers are heating up because of the fluids that's happened up underneath the water, melting these particular glaciers. So we want to come here to be able to show you these particular principles on why this particular glacier is having underwater heating and underwater flowing, okay? Because of the manifestation of these particular principles within the creation pertaining to Yahshua the Messiah, how he is the interior part of the creation, and how Yahshua the Messiah is in control of all these particular principles that's manifesting upon the earth plane, okay? So that is the reason why that we come here to reveal to you these particular things, because Yahshua is the reflex, okay, of the cause and effect, okay, of all these particular things that are manifesting pertaining to these ecologies that we are reading to you, okay? So here it says that 4% of the sea level has risen because of this particular glacier and how it has been melting rapidly, okay? So when we come here to this part of the chart and we see how that you see the pre-mortal waters of the waters above and those beneath still being conglomerated together, as you see how we have this particular line right here revealing to you how this is the dark portion of the waters, and this is the lighter portion of the waters, revealing to you the waters above and those beneath, okay, before they were divided on the second day of creation. So when we look at this as a whole, we understand that this is pertaining to a principle of sea level, because we understand that when we come here to the third day of creation, we're seeing how we have the seas, okay, and the seed of vegetation, how it's penetrating the earth, rolling the waters back, allowing the vegetation to appear. When we come here, we see how we have the first seed, which is in reference to the Jews, the second seed that is in reference to the Gentile. But in retrospect, it is a correlation to all of the waters upon the face of the earth. And pertaining to the separations of 1 and 2, it is revealing pertaining to the principles of how you have how it says you have the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And we understand that the Jews are the first to be able to receive the gift of the Holy Spirit that happened on June 6, 33 AD. And then we understand that 7 years later, pertaining to the principles, how the Gentile nations have received it in Cornelius' house, which we have right here upon the chart, revealing how we have Peter and the 6 coming into Cornelius' house preaching the gospel. All right. So when we look at these essential principles, all right, and all of them are essential to Yahshua the Messiah and his spirit. It takes us all the way back to where we were giving you principles pertaining to how we have this particular dove as the spirit of animation or this super incorporeal ornithological being, okay, which means shape and form of a bird without flesh and feathers. So you understand what I'm saying? Because this particular dove or bird is the creative or the animation, okay, that is going through each day of creation and allowing the things to manifest, which are manifesting upon the days of creation based upon the spoken word of Yahweh Elohim. All right. So therefore, when Yahweh spoke and it says that everything stood fast, that was pertaining to when he spoke, how this spirit manifested everything that Yahweh Elohim spoke to take his residence or its place within the creation for that particular day to manifest what it did in that particular day. All right. So when Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, we understand that it was pertaining to this particular dove, okay, which allowed the Shekinah to manifest when Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light. And we understand that further on down, pertaining to the days of creation, that pertaining to the first day of creation, that the sun in the sky is a physical manifestation of what took place on the first day of creation. So what we do is that when we look and see how this particular creation had came into existence, we understand that the first substance of the creation is water, which is H1. And we are seeing how pertaining to how that when we're looking at this particular water that's housed within this carbonate space of the deep, and because there is no sunshine, it's going to allow these particular waters to be cold or if not frozen, because there is no heat manifesting at this particular time. So when we come inside the creation, as I said, to the inner organic altar or creation, we are showing you principles how that everything pertaining to what's going on in under the ocean, in the creation, things of that particular nature, all revolve around Yahshua, and it is his doing because we are in Yahshua's kingdom, okay? Now, it said that when we come here and we look here within the holy place, we understand that the holy place picks up principles of the number 4, okay, which is correlated to Yahshua when we come right here, all right? And it said that it is 4% of the sea level, to reason that the sea level all over has risen 4% because of these particular glaciers and the melting, all right? So that allowed the sea level to be a little bit more higher. Now, they are worried about this particular glacier melting because of this particular glacier melts. There's going to be other situations and complications within the earth plane that will take place based upon when we read a little bit further within these ecologies, things that are possibilities that can possibly happen if these particular glaciers or this particular glacier melts. Now, it says that that the rate of ice has accelerated substantially in the past. It says for 3 decades, partially due to hidden rivers of compared to warm seawater sliding across the glacier's underbelly. So this is talking about how we have this particular water that's up underneath. See, this portion that you have, which is the dark portion of these particular waters, how you have water that's manifesting up under these particular waters that's right up under this particular glacier, how that these waters are heated up. So when we come here to the feet of Yahshua the Messiah, and you're looking at the light portion of this particular chart that's representation of the waters, or the waters being heated that is below the average waters that's below this particular glacier. This is the principle that we're picking up, as I said, from the feet of Yahshua, revealing to you how that when you see this fire that is rolling up from Yahshua's feet, this is in actuality the consummation of Yahshua Messiah, because it is burning up the whole entire world. But in the event that we are showing you these principles pertaining to how Yahshua was walking on the water, we understand that Yahshua is fire. It says that our Elohim is a consuming fire. All right. So therefore, we're just picking up these particular principles of him being a consuming fire. But at the same time, when we're looking at these principles pertaining to the fire that's up under his feet, and we come here showing you how they're manifesting up under the waters at this particular time, and this is principle as the Arctic, because like I said, it's principles of ice manifesting the principles of this season, winter and fall, okay, which is down here within the court roundabout of plate 4. And as I said, when you're looking at the light portion part of the waters, that is manifesting the underwater waters are that are being heated up, that are melting this particular glacier. Now, as I said, that the holy place manifests the principle of 4, because we understand that after the children of Israel had came to and through the divided waters of the Red Sea, that when they had manifested themselves out here within the wilderness of Sinai, because of their disobedience and the breaking of this particular law, okay, that Yahweh Elohim had allowed them to remain within the holy place, or the wilderness of Sinai, for some odd 40 years. So therefore, when we come here to the holy place, we understand that 40 are 4 and 0 is principle as principles that here within the holy place. But the point that I'm trying to make, that 0 is just a placeholder. So therefore, when we come here and it's talking about 4%, that because of these particular heated waters has made 4% of the sea level to be able to rise. And we come here and we look at this particular 4%, we can understand the percentage pertaining to how this particular sea level has risen. Like it says, 4%, all right? So therefore, when we come here and we look and we come all the way across and it talks about that it has risen, we understand that this is being the court roundabout. And when we come here, all right, to the holy place pertaining to the principles that's within man, and we come here to the abdomen region of the man, we're talking about this, the first Adam that's manifested right here, we can see how that we have the waters coming all the way up to his abdominal region, to where we understand it pertaining to principles of the court roundabout, that when you get to the holy place, the first thing that you see, okay, would be the door, which is the 4th principle, all right? So therefore, we see how this is the manifestation of the dark colored blue portion of this particular chart, manifesting the principle of the 4% of how the sea level has risen pertaining to the underwater heating of these particular streams that are manifesting up under the glacier, all right? And we wanted to give you these particular principles manifesting themselves on the vision so that you can kind of understand what it is talking about. Now, it's very important that we come back and we show you these particular principles on the vision. And I know you're probably asking, well, what is the importance of you always correlating the things that you read in the news articles pertaining to the things that's within the vision? Now, the answer to that particular question is this, and let us come to the vision of our founder to authenticate this particular answer. Now, when we come here to the divine vision of our founder, we have shared with you on many occasions that after the children of Israel had come up out of the land of Egypt, that Yahweh Elohim had commissioned Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, 70 of the elders, as well as Joshua, the son of Nun, to come up into this mountain. But only Moses and Joshua should come to the top portion of this particular mountain. And that Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, the 70 elders, shall remain here on the plateau, and that the remaining individuals of the children of Israel shall not touch this particular mountain, nor any animal. If they do, they should be thrust through with a spear or a dart, pertaining to the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, which he has spoke pertaining to this particular sacred mountain. So therefore, we understand that when Yahweh Elohim had called Moses up to the top of this particular mountain, that Yahweh Elohim had revealed this particular account of the creation of the 7 days of creation to Moses when he was upon Mount Sinai. And so when we look at these particular principles of how that day by day sequence of the days of creation that Yahweh Elohim have revealed to Moses is revealing how that the whole entire creation, which we know it to be, was revealed to this one man, Moses, and he was the only one to write about it, of how the whole entire creation had came into existence. And by the creation coming into existence, came in by spirit law, which was the laws of Yahweh, which governed the whole entire creation, so that principles pertaining to how that when we come to the fourth day of creation with all the other planetary systems within the sky and all the stars within the sky, how that the earth rotates around the sun, all right, and the moon around the earth. And we understand that when the earth is rotating around the sun, that the earth has not bumped into any other planetary system that's within the sky, even as well as you see stars that are manifesting within the heavens, that the earth plane has not ran into none of these particular stars, or has not run into Pluto, Jupiter, Mars, or things of that particular nature. You understand what I'm saying? Because it is governed by spirit law. All right. And we understand that even though that the earth is within space, okay, spinning upon its axis, that the water has not evaporated, okay, or went up into space, things of that particular nature. All right. So when we come here, we're giving you the source, all right, and the origin of the particular creation and the means of the creation. And we're trying to reveal to you that the whole entire creation is no more than spirit materialized. And so based upon the materialization of spirit and how it's governed by spirit law, we're trying to inform you and reveal to you that the whole entire creation, which is terra firma, which we stand on, is no more than a physical counterpart of Yahweh Elohim, okay, from his spiritual state of existence, taking on a physical manifestation, all right? So you and I can be able to understand. And everything that consists therein, this particular physical creation, goes according to this intangible threefold tabernacle pattern, all right? There is nothing that escapes this particular pattern in Yahweh Elohim's creation, because Yahweh Elohim is the pattern as well as he is the creation. And just how we understand the functions of this threefold intangible tabernacle pattern pertaining to the apothecary or the priesthood, the Aaronite priesthood, that carried out these particular functions for 40 years within the wilderness of Sinai, all right, are the same functions of how that this super incorporeal being or ontological being manifests itself throughout the days of creation or within the creation to allow everything to manifest the things that it manifests. All right. And what I mean by that, how we have the seasons come in, how the flowers grow, all right, the vegetation and things of that particular nature, how we got rain in the proper season, and then we got spring, all right, and then how everything goes into fruition in summertime, all right, and then everything can eat because of the third day of creation, which we understand, which is our biological creation, how that everything can be able to have substance based upon the things that the earth has produced for everything that is living, all right, to be able to live. And when we come to the chart over here, we say that that we have um, abiotic components, so that biotic components can be able to live. Now, your abiotic components are everything that's within the ecosystem that's pertaining to, I would say, um, uh, air, temperature, things of that particular nature, okay, that manifests right here, all right? And so therefore, because we have air, temperature, water, things of that particular nature, that's an abiotic component, all right? It helps things that are biotic, which is you and I, everything that breathes, move, that has their being upon the face of the creation and within the waters, okay, that moves, all right, that has any life in it is considered a biotic component that lives off of the things that the creation produces, okay? So we always have to come back to the source, all right? And we always talk about our etology. Our etology is the science or the study of the cause, okay, and the reason why things are. So that's the reason why, pertaining to our etiologies, that we come here, all right? And so therefore, when we come to our ecologies to see what is the cause of the effect, that it takes us all the way back to the source, which is spirit. And so therefore, we come here to Moses because, as I said, Moses was the first one to be able to write about these things. So when we understand that, and we see how that every day of creation is a witness unto the Father and his Son, all right? Pertaining to how he divided the light from the darkness. He divided the waters above from those beneath. How he rolled back the waters, allowed the vegetation to manifest. How he put the sun, moon, and stars within the sky, and then divided the seasons. And then here we understand that pertaining to the ontological beings and the insects and the biological kings, that we have things living within the air, flying within the sky, things that manifest within the water, and the insectums that manifest within the earth and upon the face of the earth, as well as they manifest themselves within the air. And then we come along and then we see how that the last manifestation of Yahweh Elohim, which he had created, was the man likened unto himself. All right. So all these things consist within the creation, all right, that was revealed unto Moses upon Mount Sinai, as well as these things and principles that was revealed to John on the Isle of Patmos. So this is the importance of the reason why that pertaining to the subject matters and the ramification principles that we use when we come here to the chart based upon the things that we read, and we come here to the vision to show them to you and to give you an explanation of the things that are taking place that are within the news articles that we understand to be our ecologies, and they are correlated to the vision, is to show you the source of cause and effect, all right? So that there won't be no mistake of the reason why these things are happening. And so therefore, when we come back to the days of creation and we see how the creation came in, then therefore it is pretty much self-explanatory based upon the ecologies or the things that are taking place within the world that we come into its source of origin. And that is the importance of the reason why that we always come to the vision to run ramifications, which we call correlations, so that you can be able to understand spiritual things. It says that the underbelly, as well as the unmitigated climate change, warming. It says the air and the ocean, in a study published by the Communications, Earth, and Environmental Researchers Analyst geomagnetic field data from West Antarctica to create a new map of geothermal heat flow in the region. It says essentially maps showing how much heat from the Earth's interior is rising up to warm the South Pole. So, as I was sharing with you, when we come here and we're talking about the principles here pertaining to South, it is talking about the South Pole, all right? As well as principles pertaining to when we come here to the chart, and it is picking up principles of the North, all right? So we share with you principles pertaining to the South, all right, South Pole, North Pole, and what we do is that we come here back to the globe to reveal to you these particular principles pertaining to the South Pole and the North Pole. And so we wanted to come back here so that you can be able to see what we're talking about, all right? So now we're talking about things right here because we're talking about the South Pole. Now here it says that the South Pole temperate zone right here, that it is correlated to the Herodian temple, all right? When we have this particular principle that's manifesting right here, that we took you right back here to this particular temple, because we understand that this particular temple was up under construction 3 times. Here, when we come to the North Pole, it is picking up principles. It says the North Pole temperate zone is picking up principles pertaining to King Solomon, all right? And so therefore, we understand that that was the first time that this particular temple was built. When we come to the equator, that picks up the time when the temple of Xerxes had built the temple. And then when we come here to the South Pole, and I'm talking about when Xerxes had built it in that 490-year cycle, like I said, it comes to the equator. And then when we come to the South Pole, as I said, it's picking up principles pertaining to the Herodian temple. All right. So when it is speaking about how it is heating up in the interior rising and warming up the South Pole, all right, that, as I said, when we're looking at the spirit law as touching the earth plane, and we know that the whole earth plane is being governed by that, that when we come here to this particular temple, and then we come to principles pertaining to when we come here to this particular chart, and it says that the South Pole, and we look at these principles when we come here to the South, all right? That what we want to reveal to you and show you that here, when it's talking about principles at the South Pole, that we come here to the first atom. When it's talking about principles of the North Pole, it brings us right here to the second atom. Why so? Because these two are principled as the pillars of when we come here to King Solomon's temple, all right? Which here, you see how we have Boaz. So therefore, this particular pillar would be here in representation to the first atom, in representation to the South Pole, all right? And then when we come here to Yakshin, which is Jackson, okay? We understand that there is no J in Hebrew, Latin, or Greek, so this is why we have it Y as Yakshin. And Yakshin, we come here, all right, to this particular pillar, all right? Because we have Yahweh Elohim here as the first pillar, and then we have Yahweh Elohim Yahshua here as the second pillar pertaining to this particular temple, all right? And then as well, we understand as these two manifest principles as the cherubims on the Ark of the Covenant, but pertaining to everything, as we said, that this is the sum total and the original pattern of the universe here. And this is the exterior, and this is a manifestation of the interior. So this is the reason why that when we come here to the South Pole and we look at these particular principles, and it's talking about how when we see here, how when Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, you understand that these things happen within the heavens, all right? And so when these things happen within the heavens, we shared with you that with your major and minor axis, that the things that happen within the heavens are things that happen or manifest within the earth plane. All right. Now, we also come here and we showed you principles pertaining to the moon phases that we have right here. Okay. And we understand that pertaining to the first day of creation, when we look at these particular nimbus clouds that are manifesting around this dove, okay, that we have revealed to you that these were principles pertaining to our moon phases and our equinoxes, as well as our solstice principles, okay, manifesting when you see different shapes around this particular dove in the creative manifestation of these particular charts. So when we come here and we understand that within this principle, that it is principled as the first night. And we understand that when you see this, that this is pertaining to principles of a gibbous moon, that we understand that it being gibbous, that the principles mean that the spirit is being troubled at this particular time because it is a first night principle, because we understand how the carbonous face of the deep had manifested before the first day of creation. So therefore, for the spirit who has never been in darkness ever before, you understand what I'm saying, that this is the first time that the spirit is in darkness, that we understand that it is being troubled or burdened. You understand what I'm saying? By the vanity, which all of us have been subjected to unwillingly, okay? And so therefore we see this principle that is manifesting right here. So when we look at that and we understand that based upon this particular principle, that when he said, let there be light, okay, that that here, when he has eradicated the darkness from the light and allowed all the light to manifest, that this had heated up everything that had manifested within the heavens, all right, right here. And so therefore, as I said, that this being principled as the South Pole, and we understand how when we come here, and I shared with you how this is a manifestation of the waters that are manifesting underneath, that this is principled here as a whole entire world. Okay, here is a principle. And when you see how you have this blueness manifesting right here are principles of the glacier. Here we're showing you principles of how it's being warmed up. And so therefore that pertaining to this being principles, as you understand that this is being the world, this is a manifestation, as I said, as the waters that are manifesting warmer up under these particular waters, how we see how all of them are coming together and for all these particular principles to be able to manifest. All right. Now keep in mind that as well, that we told you that pertaining to the 4 days of creation that are manifesting right here, that these were the 4 rivers, you understand, of the Garden of Eden. All right. So as well, that you have to apply all water principles when we're looking at the principles pertaining to the Messiah. And the principles pertaining to the Messiah are these: blood, water, he is spirit. Okay. He is spirit. And then change, which is the number 4. Okay. And we shared those particular principles with you earlier. So it says that the that the heat from Earth's interior is rising up to the South Pole. It says researchers, the key word researchers, okay, found that the crust beneath the West Antarctica is considerably thinner than the East Antarctica. So when we come here, it says that when we look at East Antarctica, that it says that the crust is a little bit thinner than that pole of the West. Now, when we come here and we show you and we reveal to you pertaining to the vision how that this particular tree was upon the lion's head that we have here that was removed and cut away. And so therefore, when you see how you have these particular roots are the tree being cut away from this particular lion's head, which is a physical tree, which is allowing him to be spiritual and have a spiritual understanding opposed as physical and carnal things, which we see here pertaining to the principles of angelic and physical. All right. And when we are within this darkness, these are physical and natural things. How that this particular tree, as I said, is removed. All right. And this tree as well is principled as a man. Because we understand that when we go over to the scriptures over there in Mark, the 8th chapter, I believe, verse 22, how that the blind man said that I see men as trees walking. Okay. And those were ramifications and principles as we gave into you pertaining to the first man. And then as well as the structure of his 2 legs, and then how he had fig leaves around his particular loins, okay, to reveal to you how this is the man, and this is the fruit of the man, or the seed, pertaining to how that man bears seed after his own kind, okay, to produce his offspring, okay? So we share with you those particular principles, but not getting off the subject at hand, all right? When we come here, and when it's showing principles about the Eastern being thinner than the West, okay, that we're showing you how by the principles of the lion's head revealing flesh like here is revealing how it is thinner than the principles of what you see right here are principles manifesting up here as West when we're looking at the oxen, all right, as principles as West and the sun rising and setting, all right? So when we come up here, it says that this one is thicker. We understand why, because it's manifesting the oracle. Here, you understand it's manifesting principles of the head, okay? So now when we correlate these 2 particular principles, we can see why one is thicker and thinner and one is thicker. It says that roughly 10 to 15 miles, 17 to 25 kilometers. So it says that roughly, that when we come here, it says that it is 10 to 15 miles in thickness, manifesting right here. Why is it 10 to 15 miles thickness? It's because that when we come down here and we're looking at the principles pertaining to Yahshua, and what I want to do is I want to come here so that we can look at the lion, so we can extract some proper principles. That here, that when we're looking at the principles pertaining to Yahshua, which is the roaring lion of the tribe of Judah, it says that it is picking up principles of being 10 to 15 miles. So here, when it's talking about Yahshua, when it's talking about 10 miles deep, that we understand that pertaining to the law that Yahweh Elohim had given Moses 10 commandment law that he came down from Mount Sinai with, okay? So therefore the 10, okay, is in reference to the 10 miles would be likened unto Yahshua that's manifesting within the east. Now, when it's talking about 15, the principle of 15 are 1 and 5. We share with you that 1 and 5, that when we come here, that it was one eternal spirit that allowed his spirit to be poured out in the hearts and minds of man on the day of Pentecost, okay? So therefore, we're showing you how from one man that his spirit was what? Poured out, see, in the hearts and minds of these particular individuals. Show how the manifestation that the spirit was here within their heart, and then here pertaining to principles being within their mind. And as well, when we look at these particular principles, that we want to reveal to you that if you take this one, and this looks like a one, okay, and then you come here to 5, all right, that is principle as 6 pertaining to the first man, all right? And we understand that pertaining to Yahshua, when he walked the earth plane, that he was called the Son of Man. So therefore, we will look at 1 pertaining to the 10, which is likened to the 10 commandments, all right, which is likened to 10 miles, and then the 15 of miles, which we correlate to the principles of, like I said, in 1 and 5, all right, which is I'm showing how it was one man's spirit, okay, being poured out on the day of Pentecost, or the totality of it, that we can come all the way back here, and Yahshua the Messiah being the second Adam, that he called himself the Son of Man, all right, picking up the principles of 6 to fulfill the principles of how the first man was created on the 6th day of creation. It says that thick in the west compared to about 25 miles and 40 kilometers, thick in the east, exposing the IThes Glacier to considerably more geothermal heat than the glacier on the other, all right? So it is revealing to you that how pertaining to the one that is center and the one that is on the east side and the one that's on the west side, how the one that's pertaining to the west side, which is talking about pertaining to the principles of the south, how that pertaining to the warming of this one, because it is thinner than this one, how that it is having more heat and it is melting a whole lot faster from the one that is manifesting principles pertaining to the one that's west or northwest pertaining to the one that is southeast, okay? And so when we look at these particular principles here, it says that the geothermal heat is that the geothermal heat, then glaciers on the other side. It says researchers will soon have a chance to have their measurements of the heat flow below the Antarctica, okay? So when they are doing the principles, or when they're doing the research that they are researching, all right, based upon the instruments that they're using to find out all these things, they are seeing how that this particular side is, as I said, is sowing out faster than this, okay? And it says that a major international research project is currently underway at the South Pole, including missions to drill ice cores that stretch down to the bed of the IThes glaciers, heat flow. Measurements from these core samples could give scientists a better idea of how much time is left on the doomsday glacier's ticking clock, okay? So in essence, what it is saying that it's only going to be a matter of time, okay, before this particular glacier, all right, falls within the water. And then once that it falls within the water, then that's when we're going to have some global issues pertaining to the sea level of these particular waters all around the particular globe. And then that pertaining to that will conclude principles within our first ecology. So now going to our second ecology, it takes us principally to astrology. And it says that this particular astrology count only happens once in a blue moon. It says, catch a true blue moon tonight. You've likely heard the term once in a blue moon. But what you may not know is that a blue moon is a genuine astrological event. and you can catch a true blue moon tonight on Sunday, August 22nd. Confusingly, there are two definitions of a blue moon. Informally, the term has come to mean a second full moon in a single month, but the original definition, also known as a seasonal blue moon or a true blue moon, is the third full moon over a season. In this context, a seasonal means the period of time between a solstice and an equinox. So it says, which this year is between June 2021 and September. Now, right there, that is just phenomenal to me. And what I would like to do is because of that particular principle right there. And let us come to the vision of our founder, because we always have to authenticate the divine vision of the founder, because he is the one who have had this divine vision and shared it with everyone else. All right. So this is the reason why that I said that we come and we authenticate the divine vision and revelation of our founder. Now, here we are talking about principles pertaining to the blue moon. Okay. And here as well, when we were talking about the principles of the phases of the moon, that the origin of it, that we have to come here, all right? And when we come to the origin of the phases of our moon's phases, that we have to come to our cosmogony plate, which is plate number 4. Because here, as we said, that we're showing you how that we have a full circle around this particular dove. And therefore, when you see this, as it says within our textbook, and what textbook am I talking about? I'm talking about this particular textbook. We came here and we showed you principles of what it talked about. When we came here in this particular textbook, we went on page number 6 in this particular textbook. We read to you the principles here on page 6. We came here, and this is page 6, that when we come here and we're picking up principles pertaining to a new moon, it says that the seven feasts that were held under the law of Moses were according to the new moon. And so when you see how that you have this, and it also says here that the bloody sacrifices of the Mosaic law, all right? And pertaining to that, we see how here, when we have our cosmogony plate, and we see how the dove is in its descension, that here is in the origin pertaining to the scriptures, how it says over there that I am come down. And so from his high and lofty state, which we see here pertaining to his conception within the spirit, that here in the holy place, he is dividing the first and the second heaven, okay? Because first heaven and obviously the second heaven, and this is principally as the third heaven, okay? And so when we look at this, that he is also manifesting the 7-day feast, or which we understand to be the 7 days of creation, pertaining to the principles of the 7-day feast. And so here, when we look at him in this manifestation, that this is the principle of the 7 days, because he is the one that is going to go through each day of creation and allow the 7 days of creation to manifest what they are and which we know them to be, all right? And so when we come here and we look at that, and we come here and we understand that I shared with you that here is principle as he is being, that he is dividing a spirit from the water here. And based upon him dividing the spirit and the waters here, that we understand that it is carbon is here, which is allowing these waters to be darkened. Okay. And so therefore, once he is separating the spirit from the waters, which is purifying the waters, that we understand that this is principle of him becoming a nova or a star. All right. Because here is principle of as death. As well, this is principle as a child being in the womb or the fetus, and we share principles of that, okay? And so here, that we are showing you that when you see how that from here, from this being his conception, all right, and then him manifest the principles of a noble or a star. You understand what I'm saying? Because he is getting ready to eradicate all of this darkness because he already removed it from the waters. And so in this particular manifestation here, he is getting ready to say, let there be light, to eradicate all darkness, period, from the heavens, okay? And so when we look at this here, we see that this here is the origin of the principle of the separation of the solstice from the equinox, all right? And so in our previous lecture, when we were going over these particular principles, and right here, how we were showing the origin of the solstice and the equinox, I do believe that I had made a slight mistake. And I did say that this was the origin of spring and that this was the origin of fall, okay? And so therefore, in my analogies, I was incorrect because if you understand, as I said, that if you take this and you see how this is a manifestation of a half and then this is the other half and you put it together, then we will have a whole, okay? Just like how we shared with you principles, how that you have a whole circle around the dove here, all right? So when we come here to the first and second day of creation, that we have to understand that here, if this is the first day and Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, and this is likened unto, I do apologize for being so far away. Let me kind of come in closer. That here is the first day of creation, likened unto when Yahweh Elohim had first put the sun in the sky, and is likened unto principle as the season of summer. So therefore, in reference that this would have to be the first manifestation of what we understand to be summer to be even before the season had manifested itself. So therefore, before the season, that what we must do when we come here, we must look at what we understand to be as a solstice, okay? And what a solstice is, that if we can safely say that solstice is the house that the season operates in, if we can safely say that, okay? And so therefore, when we would come here, that this would be the principle as summer solstice, and then therefore we will be going here to the second day of creation to show you the equinox of fall, all right? Because when we get here and we see how, when we come to the fourth day of creation, how we have summer, and then when we come here, see to the holy place, that it says that there is a division between winter and spring. Now, if we understand that we have summer solstice, then when we come here, that is obviously that we must have a winter solstice, all right? Because these are picking up the principles of the solstice. We can't have one without the other, or we cannot have summer before the winter. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is a principle of life, all right? Even though that here we understand that this is a ratification of darkness, which is a ratification of a death principle, but we have to understand that pertaining to the first day and the foundation of the whole entire creation, that it must come in light, all right? And so therefore that light, because this is a hot principle likened unto fire, that therefore it is principle as the season of summer, okay? And the solstice, I'm sorry, yes, the solstice of summer here, all right? And so therefore, that is the reason why that we have this particular bowl on the uprising, okay, looking like bowl sitting on the table, because in summertime, the things that happen within the summer after spring, that when everything is in fruition, you put all the fruit, all the vegetables and all the goodies right here within this bowl. Why? Because it's summertime, okay? And so therefore, when we come over here, and this is a manifestation of fall, all right, that everything is doing what? We know that everything is going into dormant. All the leaves are turning yellowish brown. They're getting ready to fall off of the trees. You understand what I'm saying? And there's no more fruit on the trees. How things were in fruition, how they were in summertime. Okay. And so therefore, that is the reason why that this is a manifestation of fall, because this is a manifestation of an upside down bowl. You understand what I'm saying? To show you how everything from the summer is being emptied. All right. And from how when the man was up, he must do what? Take his fall. And as I said, if you're looking at this and this pertaining to this descension, when we're seeing how the dove is descending, okay, as he said that I am come down. And then this is the first night. all right, that we have shared with you, it is showing principles how we shared that this is a manifestation of a gibbous moon being burdened by the carbonate space of the deep, and this is being the first night, okay? And then here we understand that in this particular section, it says it is division between evening and morning, okay? Here with these particular principles within this plate. And so when we come here, as I said, when it's talking about the fall, that everything now is doing what coming down into the creation. And that is the reason why that when we get here to the second day of creation, we have the eye of Yahweh. We see how we got this darkness that's around this particular dove is because it's picking up principles of the carbonate space of the deep. All right. We had just divided the waters above from those beneath. So now we have the principles of the waters beneath. All right. And we have a firmament that's within the middle. And pertaining to the principles, as we see how it is night here, that here, obviously, that is pertaining to the second night. All right. And we see how the spirit is entering into the earth plane. That's what allows us to come here. We shared with you that when you see this point right here, it is manifestation of this particular dove manifesting the same principle as this nova, but it is doing it below the horizon. So therefore, it is showing you and revealing to you principles how this is a manifestation of a sacrifice entering into the earth plane. And so therefore, pertaining to this particular sacrifice, it says bloody sacrifices pertaining to the law, that this particular sacrifice is coming up and manifest principles as the tree of life. And here as well, we see how we have this particular darkness that that's around the dove, that when it penetrates the earth plane, it produces principles as the tree of knowledge of good and of evil. So therefore, we're showing you by here on the second day of creation, how both mysteries have entered into the earth plane and have manifested themselves physically so within the third day of creation pertaining to the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and of evil, okay, pertaining to the principles that manifest here. So I know you're saying, well, you really going kind of deep up into these particular principles, and we are just talking about the astrological count of principles of this particular blue moon, okay? Now, the reason why that I'm going there and I'm showing you these principles based upon this particular blue moon was because that when you see here the first day of creation and the second day of creation, that this is the origin, okay, of the principles of the blue moon manifesting right here. This is the original principle of the blue moon manifesting here, because we told you that pertaining to how you see the nimbus cloud behind this dove is showing you principles of the phases of how the moon operates, and pertaining to the phases, how it is dictated, because we understand that pertaining to the moon phases that it has control over the waters of the seas or over the oceans and things of that particular nature. We understand that anything involved with the moon that we understand it pertaining to the oceans, that it causes erosion, that it's going to be some type of fluctuation that manifests within the waters. That is why that we are coming here showing you that pertaining to these particular nimbus clouds, that this is how that the moon phases got their place of origin, okay? And how they had manifested, and how that they are in control of the waters that manifest upon the earth plane, and even the waters that manifest within the man, okay? Because we have to understand that man is 75% of water and 25% land, is how we understand how the whole entire creation is, after that the creation took on shape and form from being formless and void of this particular dove entering it, all right? So that's the reason why that we go back over all these particular things. And here, pertaining to that, is showing you the rotation of how that we went from a solstice to an equinox pertaining to the first day and the second day of creation. All right, because when we get all the way here to the fourth day of creation, it is divided in spring, all right, which spring is a solstice, and no, I'm sorry, that spring is a equinox, and winter is a solstice, because we have winter solstice, summer solstice. We have a fall equinox, we have a spring equinox, okay? And we understand that pertaining to spring, that is when things are growing and getting ready to go into full fruition once it gets into summer, all right? And so therefore, I wanted to reiterate myself pertaining to these particular principles because when I went over some of the previous lectures, I didn't go quite into explicit detail to be able to explain the first part of the solstice pertaining to the end part of the solstice to reveal to you how here, when it is showing you a division between spring and winter, which is a division between an equinox and a solstice, how we had to come here to the origin to show you how it manifested within the beginning pertaining to the days of creation, and how that pertaining to the days of creation, how that it displayed and manifests itself with the first man, Adam. All right. So that is the reason why that when we come here to this particular chart here, that we have the first day of creation manifesting within the man. All right. Because we understand that pertaining to the origin of the moon phases, that it had predicted from when Yahweh Elohim has said, let there be light, pertaining to what happened within heaven, that all these particular principles that had manifested within the man after the creation had came into existence, all right? And so therefore, we're showing you the origin of it, of how it took place before all the principles took place within the man. And so, you know, basically, if you look at it like this, that is the reason why the Yahweh Elohim has prepared a sacrifice, you understand what I'm saying, for the man and the woman, you see what I'm saying, even before they had partaken of this particular tree, because of the principles that had manifested within the heaven pertaining to this carbonate space of the deep, all right? And then Yahweh Elohim saying, let there be light, to declare the end from the beginning, all right? And so I wanted to go over those particular principles just to reveal it to you, all right? So it says that that a season means the period of time between a solstice and an equinox, all right? That defines what a season is. It says, which this year is between June and September, all right? Now, we shared with you, and let us do it again, all right? So sake of understanding, that's what we do. We are a research organization. Let us come here back to the clock of destiny. Let's see what it's talking about pertaining to the clock of destiny. Now, it said that it was picking up principles from June, which we have here, okay? June to September, all right? So we got June, July, August, no, I'm sorry. June, July, August, September, 1, 2, 3, 4, within these 4 months, all right? We understand that 4 is the number of change. So now we see that from the 4th house all the way to the 7th house, that the equinox and the solstice, that this is the time frame in between there, that this is a change. And from this time to this time, that we have another moon, okay, to manifest itself right within this particular time, right here. And we have to understand that from this particular time, going all the way back to Abel, which is the first, okay, pertaining to the timetable of Yahweh Elohim, that this is the first day of the month, all right? So we see that if this is the first day of the month, that this is the 3rd month, all right? And then the 3rd month, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, because it's picking up principles pertaining to the Hebrew calendar. Now, we understand that when we're talking about the Gregorian calendar, that takes us all the way back to the 11th house, you understand what I'm saying, or the 11th, which is the 11th month, or the 11th house, because this is going according to the sacred calendar, all right? And we want to make sure that you understand these things. Now, what it is talking about principle of the 3rd full moon is that you only have 3 full moons a year. Only 3 a year. So if we have 12 months within a year, it's almost like every 4 months that we will have a new moon. And so this is the reason why that when it talks about the definition that you have 2 moons within a month, that's a blue moon, that is picking up the principles of what it's talking about, how that you get um, your fourth moon within that year, because you have full moons run simultaneously, almost back to back. Either you have 2 within 1 month, or you have them just like how you had it recently with us, because the last full moon that we had was in May. And so you got May, June, July, we're in the month of August. That was 3 months ago. All right. And so therefore the super moon that we had in May was supposed to be the last full moon for the year. But here we had another one, which was the blue moon, and it was very, very beautiful to what I hear. And as I said, that we're still waiting to see and understand the effects of the blue moon within the creation, based upon that it just happened yesterday. So we are still looking for the reflect of what this moon has for us. And we understand that even within our textbook, that the moon, it dictates things pertaining to the lunatic. And so therefore things that happen crazy, or people acting kind of nutty, we're going to see the response to them as well, because we understand that this is the time frame that these things usually happen, when we understand principles of how they happen within the creation after the moon is full. All right. And so it says that that the events in a true blue moon, which happens only around every 3 years. Now, we only get these moons every 3 years. So this is why it is very, very special, and it's a rarity when we have a true blue moon. So that's why it says, if you've ever heard the term once in a blue moon, this was once in a blue moon for us to be able to have this particular blue moon. It says, so is a blue moon when you can see the moon colored blue? Not exactly. It says the moon sometimes appears to be tinted blue because of particles in the atmosphere. Okay. It says usually from dust or smoke. This happens most often in the vicinity of a volcano or a wildfire. All right. Now let us go here to the chart. Now it says that that a moon can appear to be tinted blue when you have dust in the atmosphere. So when we come here, it says that you can see a moon being blue, all right, if it is by a volcano, which we have here, all right, or pertaining to the dust or ash of a fire, all right? And so therefore, when we come here to the 4th day of creation and we see how we got a volcano here, all right, and then as well pertaining to all the wildland fires that has been happening upon the earth plane, you understand what I'm saying, in Canada, where it says that they were having this particular supermoon. They have been having fires out there. They've been having heat waves out there. And then pertaining to the fires that we've been having all over the United States, as well as in the Middle East. We have had them in Algeria. We had them in Morocco. We have had them in Russia. We have had them in Turkey. We have had fires in Northern California, all over the place. You understand? And so, you know, with these particular principles, as it says that when you have ash and dust within the atmosphere, that it could possibly be turned blue. So we wanted to come here to the chart to show you how principally that a moon can be tinted to where it could manifest the principles of being seen blue. Because we know that the moon can be principled as a blood moon. We have seen principles of the moon manifesting principles of being red. When we come here, that's the reason why we got the blood moon reflection right here within the water manifesting red, even though that the moon here is not red. We got it here because of the reflection, because when the moon is principled as what happens within the water, That is the reason why that we have it here. And we have it read within the waters to show how that it has an effect on all the waters of the entire earth. All right. And so that's the reason why that we have those particular principles there, and it revealed to you why that the moon is read within the waters, picking up principles of the blood moon and how that the moon has an effect on the earth pertaining to the waters and the lunatics manifest upon the earth. Okay. So that's the reason why that we got those principles like that. Fascinating, just fascinating. All right. So it says that as these put a lot of ash up into the atmosphere, that we can coincide with a seasonal blue moon, but it doesn't necessarily, even if it won't be literally blue. Tomorrow night will still be a special opportunity to see the big, beautiful full moon. Like other full moons, the blue moon will rise around sunset. So take a look into the sky and see if you can see or can spot the moon, as the next time you will be able to observe a true blue moon won't be until August of 2024. All right. So let us go off into our third ecology. It says our third ecology takes us to Greenland. All right. And so if you understand anything pertaining to our first ecology and picking up principles pertaining to the North and South Pole, then here we go right back again over there to those particular locations, because it says that it just rained on Greenland and Summit for the first time in recorded history. It just rained at the summit of Greenland's ice sheet for the first time in recorded history, in yet another worrying milestone in our ecological unraveling. Like much of the Northern Hemisphere, okay? Now, we were just talking about the South Pole. Now we are in the North Pole, because the North Pole is where Greenland is, all right? It says has been experiencing a massive heat wave with temperatures at the glacier summit rising above freezing for 3 times in less than a decade. So now we're having the same principles manifesting on the North Pole, just like how we're having principles manifest in the South Pole. It says that you have had the freezing level lower manifest 3 times less than a decade. That's 10 years, all right? So when we were talking to you about principles about the law, all right? Let's we can come here. When we come here, we're talking about these principles about the law, okay? 10 times in a decade. It says 3 times, 1, 2, 3, less than a decade, that principles pertaining to this North Hemisphere, that we come right here, and it's talking about Greenland, all right? And we come right here because we see that everything here is Greenland. When we come here and we look at these particular principles, how that it says that it has a heat wave, all right? So when we look at the days of creation and we look at the 4th day of creation, we're showing you that this is the only spot on here pertaining to the days of creation, even after the 3rd day of creation, that we have Greenland manifesting right here, all right? And I'm sorry, it's not doing you guys a bit of a good job. This is none of the principles of what I was talking about. And I'm saying that when we come to principles of the Northern Hemisphere, that we come here and we see how we got Greenland. This is the principle as Greenland being within the 4th day of creation, saying how it's having heat waves, all right? We share with you pertaining to the principles of the glacier within the South Pole, pertaining to how that it was having principles of heat manifesting below, and now pertaining to the heat wave, we see how when we come to the Greenland glacier that's within the Northern Hemisphere, we see how that they're having a heat wave manifest there, and how that the ice has melted and it done it 3 times, like I said, 1, 2, 3, within 10 years. 10 pertaining to the law of Moses, 3 pertaining to the pattern. So therefore it had a heat wave 3 times, all right, pertaining to a 10-year period, all right? It says, that it just rained in the summit of Greenland, an ice sheet for the first time recorded. It says that Greenland's been experiencing a massive heat wave with temperatures at the glacier summit raising above freezing for 3 times in a decade. On the 14th of August, 2021, at a place normally far too frigid for water to fall as a liquid. Did you hear that? It is a place too far and frigid for water to fall, meaning that it is almost an impossibility for a liquid to be able to fall where this particular location is. You understand? It's just it's almost an impossibility. Because if anything was supposed to come up out of the sky, it wasn't supposed to be no rain. Should have been snow, based upon where it is. And we are looking at these principles. We come right back here. Let's come here to the chart. Right here. And we're talking about principles right here because now we at the North Pole, all right? And so we shared with you that the South Pole was in correlation to the Herodian temple, and now we're talking about things pertaining to King Solomon's temple, all right? And so therefore, when we're talking about the things pertaining to King Solomon's temple, we understand that when we come to this particular oracle, okay, it had a porch, a sanctuary, and an oracle, all right? And when we look at this oracle, it's likened unto the sun, all right? Principally right here. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, since this is principled as the sun, and it is talking about things pertaining to the North Pole, which is King Solomon's temple, we understand that when he put this within the sky, that when the sun would manifest upon it, that it was blinding. You understand what I'm saying? Manifesting principles as the S-O-N of Yahweh, and the S-U-N was one and the same. So therefore, this was picking up the principles. It says that when the sun was in the zenith, we're picking up principles of a summertime, all right? And we understand that if it's picking up principles of summer, when this was in the zenith, that it was blinding, that how we can understand how when we see how Yahweh Elohim had filled this temple, all right? To where it filled it up with fire, to where that the priests could not minister within it. So if Yahweh Elohim had filled this temple with fire, you understand what I'm saying? And we're showing you how that these principles are related unto this temple, unto the creation, and it's picking up principles of the North Pole and it being hot. And this was filled by Yahweh, by fire. We can understand why the North and South Pole is suffering principles pertaining to a meltdown. You understand what I'm saying? Because we understand that this creation and this temple were synonymous. Why? Because everything that's within this creation was principle are placed within the walls of this particular temple within gold. We had trees, pomegranates, palm trees, angels, things of that particular nature that was on this, that was within this temple on the wall. Things of the creation that we see that had manifested on the 3rd day of creation. Had a sea of glass manifest, the sea that you see right here. All the principles that you see within this physical creation were manifested on the walls of this temple. And I said that Yahweh Elohim had filled this temple with fire pertaining to the prayers of King Solomon when it was temple was being dedicated. You understand? Because we shared with you that it took 3 years to defer. All right, so that all of the furnishings that was here on Mount Zion had to be placed, you know what I'm saying, within King Solomon's temple. Now we have to understand that both of these are on mountains. So it took a long time to come up and down a mountain. You understand what I'm saying, with the ceremonies and all these instruments there to be able to place up in this particular temple. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the reason why that you got these 490-year cycles manifesting all around this particular temple to show you what is being talked about. Okay? And I do apologize, I didn't really do it justice, but just to show you the redness within this particular temple, showing you what had manifested in 2nd Chronicles 7:1-4 about Yahweh Elohim filling this temple full of fire. You understand something pertaining to the prayers of King Solomon. So if this temple was being filled with fire and it has all the principles of the earth plane, I mean, they're self-explanatory. But see, this is spiritual application of what's physically manifesting right now. You understand? And like I said, we have to go, okay, to the origin of these particular things so that you can be able to understand the reason why that they are taking place the way that they are taking place within the physical creation. All right? So now let us continue. think this is fabulous. All right. It says, a place normally far too frigid for water to fall as a liquid. The National Snow and Ice Delta Center, which is the NSIDC Summit Station, recorded several hours of rainfall at this location. Rain exposed and freezes into a layer of ice that's darker and therefore more heat absorbent. So if this particular ice is more darker, it says that it's more heat absorbent, absorb much heat from it as possible, okay? And so therefore it is showing you how that when you're looking at this carbonate space of the deep, you understand what I'm saying pertaining to rain, we understand that that picks up principles that takes us to the second dispensation. You understand? Why? Because here, and the second day of creation, because we understand that the waters here were divided above from those beneath. And then pertaining to the second dispensation, we understand picking up the principles of Noah, that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. So therefore it brings us here to the second age, okay, and the second dispensation pertaining to these particular principles that are manifesting right here. And it says that, oh yeah, and then it says pertaining to the darker layer of ice, all right? So therefore, this would be a principle of the darker portion of ice that it says that it is more heat absorbent, all right? Why would it be more heat absorbent if this is the darker layer? It's because if we come right here pertaining to when Yahweh Elohim has said, let there be light. That is the reason why that the darker part of the ice is a little bit more heat absorbent than just the regular principle of the white unpacked ice. You understand what I'm saying? Or the softer ice. You understand? So that's the reason why that we come here, that we can see these particular principles when we come to the origin of when Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, to eradicate this particular darkness from the heavens. You understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, that is the principle, and the reason why that the darker ice is more heat absorbent is because of the principles that had manifested on the first day of creation. I think that's just so beautiful. It says that, oh boy, it says, rain exposes and freezes into a layer of ice that is darker and therefore more heat absorbent than the usual white packed snow ice of the glacier. Once frozen, it will also form a smooth barrier, all right, preventing melted water from seeping down below the surface, okay? So what happens is that this is a blockage, okay? All right. Now, if you understand that pertaining to this dark layer, all right, just like how it's pertaining to the principles of the vanity that we are subjected to unwillingly, and how that he is the one that is trying to stop us, you understand what I'm saying, receiving our spiritual inheritance or stopping us from being in contact with Yahshua the Messiah, okay? He will do anything that he can to stop us, all right? So that is the reason why that pertaining to this slick layer of ice that it stops the natural flowage of the soft packed snow ice, okay, and it says that that it makes a smooth barrier that prevents the melted water from seeping down into the surface. Because we have to understand that when this water melts, that it melts softly. You understand what I'm saying? And it comes and then it flows. But this particular dark ice will be like a plate that's over it, and it will stop the natural flow of the melting ice that's up underneath. You understand what I'm saying? So that is a hindrance from the natural operation of what happens with these particular glaciers when you have this dark ice or it particular manifesting, like I said, the I'm sorry, the barrier of smooth ice. Okay, and it says that this can then flood the surface of the ice sheet, causing more melting at higher elevations. So what'll happen is that if this is a sheet that's up underneath, and then you have ice on top of it, that it will allow the ice to be able to melt on the higher elevations faster than what is supposed to melt up under here, so that it will provide the water and the sea level to be at its norm. You understand? So what happens is that if it allows this particular part, which is this is the waters above, those are the waters beneath, that it allows this to melt before this, and what happens that this will just sit up and overflow or overrun. You understand? And it says that with the higher elevations, then it runs off unusually, and it impacts Greenland, like the rest of the world is changing. It says that the University of Colorado, Boulder, glaciologist Ted Scambos tells Washington Post, we now see 3 melting events in the decade in Greenland. And before 1990, that happened about once every year, 150 years ago. It says, and now rain falls where rain never fell, like the heat wave in the US Pacific Northwest. Northwest in the Pacific. And it says that this is a place where rain has never failed before. And it rained. You understand? So as I said, when we're picking up these particular principles, and it says principles of Northwest, and we came here to Northwest, it brought us right here, as I said, to pick up the principles within the second dispensation pertaining to Noah's Ark, all right? And we understand that that's principles pertaining to how it rained 40 days and 40 nights. But here, where it is talking about pertaining to principles that's in the North Pole, because of it being so cold, it's not supposed to rain. But now we're picking up the principle to where it showed that it had rained up there for several hours. Several is more than 2. Picking up principles of 3 or better. You understand? And so therefore, it is showing you that when it's picking the principles of Northwest, that is bringing us right here to the second day of creation, as well as the second dispensation, picking up principles of rain with Noah. Beautiful. You understand? When we are using, as I said, the compass of Yahweh, and then we are picking up these principles of these ecologies, because they are showing you how these particular principles are manifesting dead bang pertaining to the principles of Yahweh Elohim. All right. It says that it's something that's hard to imagine without the influence of global climate change. Ice sheets form in areas of our planet that do not usually experience meltovers this summer, when the snow piles over thousands of years, compressing under the weight of new layers. Indigenous communities living in the region are facing challenges from loss of ice and wildlife, and feeling the impact of these changes too, beyond the direct impact of sea level rise. Melting water from Greenland is also predicted to slow the Gulf Stream's ocean currents, which would, after patterns of tropical monsoons impacting rainforests. So it is predicted that if the Greenlands continue to melt, it's going to slow down the Gulf Streams. Now we got the Gulf of Mexico, we got the Gulf of North America, we got a lot of Gulfs, okay? So it says that if it slows, that it says that if it keeps melting water, that it is predicted to slow the Gulf Streams down and the ocean currents. And if it slows them down in the ocean currents, then we're gonna have a lot of things going on with our sea life, okay? And then if things change with our sea life, then that's going to have an effect on all the fishermen when they're out trying to fish for your salmon, for your crabs, for all your shrimps, all your seafood. Okay, you're going to have if this climate things change, then what's going to happen with the seasonal fishing is going to change that drastically. It's going to even change how much fish they get, how much crab they get, how much lobster, how much shrimp, how much anything that they get up out of the oceans for us to be able to eat, because it's going to change everything if these particular glaciers melt all the way down. And that's why it's saying that over there in Greenland, that these people that's over in that particular region, they're already facing the challenges of loss of ice. The wildlife is leaving or changing, you know what I mean, from one direction to the other because of the fluctuation of the particular climate. So those things are very, very important. And then it says that the monsoons, you know, that the ones that they have in India, that's are seasonal, the ones that they have over there in the Middle East. You understand that that's going to change those, okay? So if it changes that, then you have to understand to where a place that's like a tropical rainforest that's used to having these storms to keep it moist over there, they're going to dry out. You understand what I'm saying? They're not going to have the storms that they usually have. It's going to affect the whole entire globe. You understand? And as I said, it's going to allow the sea level to even be higher. And then what's going to happen pertaining to when we have these particular droughts, it's not going to be no source of backup pertaining to how these glaciers are used. The ones that the backup are water content, which is the water that we drink. So, you know, all these things are very, very important and things that we need to really pay attention to, you know, why they're happening within the why they're happening within the world. We got to stay cognizant of these particular things, okay? So now let's move on to our fourth ecology. And our fourth ecology geographically takes us to Tennessee and North Carolina. It says at least 21 in Tennessee and 5 in North Carolina are dead. Sadly to say. After flood overwhelms rural communities. And 10 other remain missing on Monday after a catastrophe flash flood swept through a rural area of rivers, creeks, and rolling woods, about 90-minute drive west of Nashville, authorities said. So therefore it says that we had flash floods, okay? And these flash floods, it says that it happened, principle of 9, as completion. We understand that Adam was 930 years old, all right? So it says a 90-minute drive of west of Nashville, okay? So it says west of Nashville, 90 minutes. It says authorities said that 2 of the dead appeared to be twin toddlers who were swept away from their father, all right? Now, that's fascinating. Now, when we come right here, we see how we got the father manifesting right here, or this is Adam, all right? And then right here, we got Adam looking at his 2 sons, all right? Cain and Able, you understand? It says that this flood that had came, all right, has swept away 2 toddlers. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we understand that pertaining to these particular principles, we understand that Cain has slew Abel. But then pertaining to the sins of Cain and how that he had created a town and a city for his son, all right? We'll do this to show you this principle of New York, all right? And so therefore that this being Cain, and this is the city of Enoch, all right, likened unto New York. You understand what I'm saying? That we understand that Yahweh Elohim, based upon this particular rainbow, all right, was a covenant that he had given unto man, okay, and beast, that he would never destroy the world by water again. You understand? And we understand it pertaining to the sins of the city of Enoch, that Yahweh Elohim had allowed a flood to come through and just totally wipe out this particular city. You understand? And so therefore we come right here to the vision of the founder, to look at these particular principles, just to be able to authenticate the scriptures, and then as well to authenticate the divine vision of the founder, to show how all these principles had manifested and where they manifested first before we talk about them. Okay, so here, when we come here to the chart, we come to the antediluvian age here on the chart. And we see how that these principles pertaining to the reign, the reigning of 40 days and 40 nights, all derive from these particular principles that manifested when we come here to the beginning of the antediluvian age, and we see how that the two twins right here, how one killed the other, all right? And so therefore, how this one was emerged or baptized in spiritual wickedness. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so therefore, when we look at immersion, all right, it means to be inundated or to be up under. You understand? And so therefore, when you see how this particular twin was immersed or baptized in spiritual wickedness, it is showing how these two individuals are dead. Him being dead because he is dead because he has a death spirit, or the spirit of death manifesting within him, which is likened unto Lucifer here, okay? And so therefore we're seeing how Lucifer is killing his brother. So therefore it is revealing to you, even though that one appears to be physically alive, that he is dead, spiritually and psychologically so, as well as you see his brother being the first one physically being killed upon the face of the earth, to where it's a fulfillment of the scriptures, to where it says that over there in John 8:44, which says that that Lucifer was a murderer from the beginning, and how that ye are of your father the devil. You understand? When he was talking to the Pharisees and scribes of Yahshua's day. So here is how we come here to the principles that's within the antediluvian age, to show you two twins. You understand what I'm saying? They're not toddlers, but we're showing you two twins who have drowned. You understand what I'm saying? And to reveal to you the immersion in spiritual wickedness, how it killed the one who killed the other, to give you a principle of two twins being drowned or killed. You understand what I'm saying? Right here in the antediluvian age, pertaining to the principles, how afterwards the Yahweh Elohim allowed it to rain 40 days and 40 nights. And so this is how that we run these particular ramifications and the principles, as I said, that's within the news that we say that are ecologies. And what we do is run the ramifications according to the scriptures to see, if, the authentication is scriptural. See? And it says here that authority said that two of the dead appeared to be toddlers who were swept away from their father, right? And we understand that the father on that particular principle was Adam, and they were taken from their father. It says that Sheriff Chris Davis of Humphreys County told WSMV-TV of Nashville, and another victim was the sheriff's best friend. He drowned in this. Sheriff Davis told the station, if I stay working and stay focused, I work through it. Among those missing, still on Monday, was Lucy Connor, 7, who lived with her family behind a Dollar Tree store in Waverly, according to the station. The Waverly Department of Public Safety posted a partial list of those missing on Monday. Now it says that that she stayed behind a dollar store. Okay. When we come here to the chart, we come right up here to the vision that's being revealed. It says that she stayed behind. She was 7 years old, and she stayed behind a dollar store. Here's a principle of a lady or a girl, which we come here to understand that this is a manifestation of our mother Eve, or she could take on a principle of a righteous woman or an unrighteous woman. You understand what I'm saying? And still pick up the principles of 7, regardless of it's righteous or unrighteous. You understand what I'm saying? Because everything has to follow this Yahweh Elohim given pattern, which is 1, 2, 3. Okay, which is 3, 7, and 9. You understand? Those are the principles pertaining to the threefold intangible tabernacle. Now it says that the young lady has stayed behind a dollar store. You understand what I'm saying? Here we come here and we see how we have Judith on this particular tree right here, and showing and revealing how after he was hung on this particular tree, that we understand that he gave up Yahshua the Messiah, which was innocent blood, for 30 pieces of silver. You understand? So therefore, we can estimate and see how these are dollars. You understand what I'm saying? And it's revealing how if you come here, or right here to the chart, that we have 7 and 3 manifesting right here where it says fifth age court roundabout. All right. So when we come here and we look at how it says that the young lady was 7 years old and she stayed behind a dollar store. All right. We come right here. See, and I find these things so beautiful that here's the woman, here's the dollar. Okay. And we can say that he's a store. You understand what I'm saying? Why? Because he's a store that says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And this is principled as the anti-Messiah. So he's a store and he's housed. All right. So therefore, there's the dollar. There's a dollar store. And then here go the principle of 7. And there she is. And she stayed behind this dollar store. All right. So therefore, if she stayed behind this particular dollar store and she was 7 years old, that's picking up those principles of a female, a dollar. He's a store or a house. You understand what I'm saying? And the principle of 7 and 3. All right. Which is principle here when it brings us here to the anti-Messiah, the persecution plate, and the end. You understand? And so therefore, we have to understand that if it is picking up, you guys couldn't even see what I was doing. I'm so sorry. That if it's picking up these particular principles, let me come here and do this again. All right. Now I said that when we come here, here's the 7, here's the 3. All right. That is picking up the principles of the anti-Messiah, all right, and then the end. You understand what I'm saying? Which is principally over here with pertaining to the Messiah, all right? So when we look at this, the 7 and this 3, and it's talking about an end, that it is showing and revealing those principles that was pertaining to the end of the second dispensation. You understand how it ended in perfection. We understand it pertaining to these particular principles, that particular arc had 3 particular stories, you understand? And that when it's picking up the principles of 7, that is also picking up principles of 7 days of creation. We understand that when we come here to the man, that this man, when we look at this first day of creation, that there were 7 dimensions or 7 planes manifesting right here within this man. All right. So we have a principle manifesting 7 right here. All right. And that picks up the age of this particular young lady right here. Okay. And we understand that pertaining to this man that was principled as 7 as being whole, that we went inside the man to take out a rib and a womb to create the woman. All right. And it's principled as this young lady, as I said, being 7 years old, picking up the principles of 7, dollar store, because he was the treasurer. So he stored all the dollars and she stayed behind his house. All right. And picking up those particular principles. Okay. I don't really want to go a little bit beyond what I need to, but it also showed how it picks up principles of the second dispensation. We understand that that particular arc had principles of 3 because it had 3 stories, you understand? And then pertaining to that, we understand that pertaining to the principles of 7, that how it picked up the ravens and the doves, because it had to pick up principles of unclean animals that had to enter into that particular ark at that particular time. You understand? And so therefore, when we are looking at this particular flood, we understand that it happened because of the principles of what had happened with the with how Yahweh said that his spirit would not always strive with man, because of the principles of what happened with Cain and Able in the beginning, and the things that Cain did pertaining to the ending of that particular antediluvian age. See? All right, so let us try to move along and to continue where we had left off. We just wanted to kind of gather those particular principles to get a full understanding of what it is talking about within the scriptures, and as well as it is pertaining to these particular ecologies with what had happened. It says that according to Weaverly Department of Public Safety posted a partial list of those missing on Monday. The flash floods disappeared this weekend as quickly as they arrived, leaving behind a trail of destruction in and around Humphreys County. Homes were washed off their foundations. Now, when we come here to this first man, and we see that right here pertaining to his loins, it's pertaining to the foundation, which is the leg of this particular legs of Adam, and it's showing you how this is the foundation. All right. Now it says that when you build a home, if you don't build a home with a good foundation, how it talks about the parable saying if you build your home within a foundation of sand and the winds come or the storm comes, it's going to blow that particular house down. So these particular foundations were good foundations, but it said that pertaining to the flood, that it says that homes were washed off their foundations and tossed across the street. So it says that they was tossed off their foundations, and now this is the street right here. All right, we understand that anything that's within this court roundabout is the street. That the houses was washed off of their foundations and tossed across the street. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just like how Yahweh Elohim creating the man on the outside of the garden and then placing him within the garden. He placed him there. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, we can see how if this man is like a house or a temple and he was placed on the outside and placed within the side of the garden, we can see how if the foundation was here, how that he can be taken up off of his foundation and knocked across the street. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, you can see how, you understand what I'm saying, that this is the street and this is the cross. You understand what I'm saying? Yahweh took the man from here and put him here, just as well as one house was washed across the street from this particular flash flood. It says, and it says that cars and trucks were strewed about, and bridges and roads crumbled, debris filled, chain link fences. Our people need help. We are going to be overwhelmed for the next 30 days. Now, that's just like how when we say that after 33 days, how Eleazar and the sons of Aaron bearing the ark of the covenant placed the soles of their feet upon the river Jordan. So now here's a principle. It says that they're going to be overwhelmed, you understand what I'm saying, for 30 days because of flash floods. Now, when we talk about the principles pertaining to how the children of Israel see how the sons of Aaron have placed the soles of their feet upon the river Jordan and it opened up like unto the Red Sea. And then the children of Israel had crossed through and through the divided waters. You understand what I'm saying? We understand that 30 days that Moses had died and he went into Mount Nebo. You understand what I'm saying? And so for 33 days, it said that the children of Israel mourned Moses, okay, and picking up the principles of 30. So therefore, we pick up the principle that Yahshua was 30 years old when he started his ministry. You understand what I'm saying? And then 3 years pertaining to his ministry, that's picking up the principle of 30 days pertaining to how he said that he's going to be overwhelmed. And we understand it pertaining to these principles that when Yahshua was 30 years old, that he came to John the Baptist and he was baptized as John the Baptist. So he was inundated in the water. And so therefore we can use this principle right here from when you see how he was inundated up under the water and then he came up straight through, that this is as well as showing how one could be crossing the street from one house going from one side of the street to the other side of the street because he came up straight way up out of the river, okay, up out of the river Jordan. All right, so that's likened to the baptism of Yahshua the Messiah, as well as Moses how Moses and Yahshua the son of Nun was within this mountain for 30 days. You understand what I'm saying? Because that was for picking up the principle of 33 days pertaining to the years of Yahshua and his lifespan. All right. So we just wanted to pick up all these particular principles to show you how that they are led right back into Yahshua and then pertaining to the principles that's within the vision and the scriptures. It says at least 30 days overwhelmed, he said. The devastation extended also up to 10 miles in the neighborhood. There goes their principle of 10 miles. Now, we shared with you 10 miles pertaining to here with Yahshua the Messiah, pertaining to the east crust, that the east crust was thinner than the west crust, pertaining to how I was talking about the glaciers. You understand what I'm saying? And the levers the levels of the crust of the eastern and the western glaciers, how this one was centered. And then we picked up the principles, how it was 10 miles, 10 to 15 miles of difference, 10 to 15 miles of thickness. And this one was 25 miles of thickness. So now here we are back to 10 miles again, all right? Because pertaining to the 10 miles is pertaining to the laws that Joshua had to fulfill. The 10 commandment laws that was given unto the children of Israel that Moses received atop of Mount Sinai. All right, pertaining to the principles of Joshua being 30 years old when he started his ministry to fulfill those principles of that 10 commandment law. So therefore, when we look at all these particular things, it runs itself right back and leads us right back to the author and finisher of our faith, which is Joshua the Messiah. You understand? And so, as we continue, it says in the neighboring North Carolina, at least 5 people are dead after flash floods wiped out homes in western part of the state in the wake of tropical depression Fred last week, the authorities said on Sunday. So we had a wake of tropical depression. So Tropical Storm Fred last week, said authorities said on Sunday, it says the dead ages were 68 to 86. Man being 6, 8 being the number of Elohim, 68, and then 86 is just that number backwards, all right? Same principle. It says we're from Crusoe, NC, in Haywood County, where homes were swept off their foundations. Heavy rainstorms overwhelmed creeks and mountains west of Nashville. Starting on Saturday morning, 9 to 17 inches of rain fell across part of central Tennessee within 6-hour period. So here we go. It says 6-hour period, 6 is the number of man, all right? When it says that 17 inches of rain, going back to the principles, like I said, 1 and 7, going here, but add them together, that's the number of 8, which is the number of Elohim. We understand that 9 is the number of completion to where it brings us here. So therefore, when we're looking at these particular principles, and it says that 9 to 17 inches of rain fell, it says across parts of Tennessee within 6-hour period, that it says that was a historical amount of rain, because it says that the last time that the flash floods came and it did rain, historically, that it was 13 inches of rain. So now it says that we got 17 inches of rain. And so this is a new historical event. This is history. All these things are history, meaning that they never happened before. These are record-breaking chain of events that are happening upon the whole entire globe. All right. And pertaining to the record-breaking events, that they are all relating back unto Yahshua, all right? It's all relating back unto Yahshua. So therefore, it is proving that we are within his kingdom and that he is taking flaming vengeance on those who know him not, by all the things that are consisting within the creation that we understand that has happened with the plagues of Egypt, the days of creation, see? And as well as any other significant thing that happened within the scriptures that we can sit up and see how they unfolded, all right? Especially when the children of Israel were within servitude, we see how those particular plagues are remanifesting, and they are continue to perpetuate all the way to where we are right now. Here it says that President Biden had encouraged federal officials to offer assistance to Tennessee. He says, I want to begin by expressing my deepest condolences for the sudden tragic loss of lives due to this flash floods. And at a news conference on Sunday, Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee described the deadly flooding as a devastating picture of loss and heartache in one of our Tennessee communities. All right. So here we have the president and the governor sending their condolences and their heartfelt condolences to the situation of how, they had lost one of their communities to flash floods. All right. And one thing about flash floods, that it says that how fast the floods came is how fast that they left. You understand? They were showing some flash floods and some flooding that was going on in the cities nearby, pertaining to these storms that are happening. And it's no joke. Um, uh, Here, when we get off into our fifth and last ecology, it will share some of the things pertaining to these particular flash floods. But this is one ecology that I'm just so excited about. And it was so beautiful when Yahweh Elohim had allowed me to be able to see it. And just to be able to say this and share it with you is a very short one, and then we will be ending this particular meeting. It says in this ecology, which is our fifth ecology, takes us to New York. All right, let me stand up for this. All right, let me move some stuff about the way because you're gonna really want to hear this. All right. Now, says it brings us to New York, and right here in New York, we understand that it's pertaining to this trade center that's right here. And we understand that in 9/11, okay, when this had happened, that it knocked down both of these twin towers pertaining to this particular trade center, right? So now let me read this particular ecology, and I want you to hear how it pretty much unfolds for us this evening, and then we'll be ending class. It says that Storm Henry, name sound familiar? Now, for you people or listeners who don't know who Henry is, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley is the founder of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, where I always share in the beginning of my lecture that I'm a forever student of the divine vision and revelation given to the founder of the Institute, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. All right. So now they have a storm called Henry. All right. So, little joke when I heard this was right. Thank you, Doc. You understand what I'm saying? Because, I'm saying thank you to Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley because I'm referencing Storm Henry as him. You understand what I'm saying? Say, hey, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm going to give you a little bit of recognition on the things that you've been preaching. You know what I'm saying? On your little charts, that you got up off of mine, that Yahweh Elohim had given to him, or which he would say to me that Yahweh Elohim had given to me to give to you guys. You understand? So I'm like, hey, founder, thank you. You understand what I'm saying? And Yahweh, thank you. You know what I mean, for the witness that you have allowed me to be able to receive through your servant, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, as well as, your servant myself. You know what I mean? And I want to thank you, Father, for this particular witness. It says that Storm Henry. It says lightning strikes one World Trade Center. Did you hear that? So when we come right here and we look at how we got this lightning bolt coming down right here, you understand what I'm saying? It's coming all the way down, and it says that it struck one of the towers. Well, it's only one tower. So when we see how we got this lightning strike coming all the way down right here, and we share with you how that this lightning strike is revealing how Satan fell from heaven, as well it is showing you the spiritual immersion in righteousness, how that you got the spiritual immersion of this dove entering into the man. You understand what I'm saying? And this first man, which is Adam right here, okay? So we just showed you how we got the spirit over the man pertaining to the principles of how he breathed the breath of life and man became a living soul, as well as this lightning coming down, showing and revealing the spiritual immersion, as well as it's a manifestation of Lucifer falling from heaven, or falling from heaven, like it says that I witnessed Lucifer fall from heaven in a bolt of lightning. And so therefore, with this particular ecology, it says that lightning strikes one World Trade Center. Striking video has been captured of lightning hitting one of the World Trade Centers in New York City as Storm Henry approaches the northeast of the U.S. All right. Heavy rains caused by the storm has caused damages across several states. Millions of people have been told to prepare for flooding, as well as downed trees and power lines. Okay. So it says that millions of people, all right, has been told to prepare for this. Now, when we was looking at this particular flooding, okay, that was manifesting over there in New York, people are driving. I'm talking about that the water was practically all the way up until the like, when you sit in the car and you open the door, that if you had to open up the car, you would just got out, you know what I mean? Because that's how much water that it was. They were showing rain coming down from the sky. I'm talking about it was raining really hard. And when it's talking about that it was getting 9 to 17 inches of rain, that was a lot. That was a flash flood happening. Now, let us explain to you what a flash flood is. That means that water is coming down so fast and so rapidly within hours that 17 to anywhere from 9 to 10 inches of rain within an hour, okay? And it rains for maybe 3 or 4 hours that you just kind of, do the math. So if it rained 4 hours and that was 9 inches, that's 9, 18, and 18 and 18 is 36. That's 36 inches of water based upon it just raining for those particular hours. Okay, so we're looking at 36 inches, you know what I mean? That's almost 2.5, 3 feet of water that you got almost up to your hip, and it only rained for a few hours and it's coming down. And those waters is not going nowhere. You got creeks overflooding, you got rivers overflooding, you got roads and things of that particular nature. And it's all happening at that particular time. You can't go nowhere or do anything, especially if your state or location where you at is have a lot of rivers or you're around a bunch of water. All right. It just, I'm telling you, it's just no words for it. And so they were just, giving footage of these particular heavy rains that was being caused by a Storm Henry that was coming in. But when they showed that lightning strike hit the World Trade Center, you understand it just shows pertaining to this particular chart. All right. And here, and this right here that happened after the fact, after we put this on here, because this happened after I had the divine vision. This happened before, you understand? And so therefore they were saying, well, this had already happened. What does this have to do with anything futuristically? Now we're seeing the ramifications of how Yahweh Elohim had allowed these principles of this World Trade Center to remanifest itself. And then how that this lightning, you understand what I'm saying, by Storm Henry had hit one of these towers. Okay, it's showing and giving me understanding and reference that the things that I have been saying has been correct. You understand what I'm saying? And the big guy, which is the founder of the institute, who's up there with Yahshua in the heavens. You understand? I'm just saying, for the record that, based upon that storm, he looked out and gave me a little bit of recognition and thank you, and thank you, Father Yahweh Elohim, and thank you, Storm Henry, or thank you, founder, because see, that's Henry Clifford Kinley's name manifesting right here, see, on the chart. And before I end, I'm going to zoom in on that so that you can see what I'm talking about. And we will be ending with this pertaining to our ecologies. And right here, as I said, that the now, okay, 1931 through Henry Clifford Kinley. All right, see, the now, all right, that we receive all this information pertaining to Pentecost through him. You understand? And he led us straight directly to the Bible, all right, based upon the vision of revelation that he received in the year of 1931, for us to be able to understand the things that we understand today, okay? And so that being said, I am just, eternally grateful. And I'm eternally grateful for the things that he has taught us and the things that he has taught his family and the things that his family was able to share and relate to us pertaining to that sacred calendar and the prophetic sequence, which I said I learned from Dr. Darrell Eugene Kinley, which is the grandson of our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. So at this particular time right now, I will be ending our class with the doxology, which can be found over in Ephesians, the 3rd chapter, verses 20 through 21. And let us conclude these particular things pertaining to our class. And I hope that you enjoyed this evening's class. I hope that it was some things that was said to enlighten you and to help you with your spiritual appetite pertaining to the things that has to do with the Creator. And so Ephesians 3, verse 20 through 21 reads as follows, which is our doxology. Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundant above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the assembly by Yahshua the Messiah throughout all generations and all ages. Hallelujah. So, as I said, that's the end of this particular lecture. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that was something that you learned. I hope it was something that benefits you. I hope that it gave you a little bit of understanding based upon the things that are going on within the creation. And so, if so, give Yahshua the Messiah, our Elohim, all the praise, and let us continue in those things and the endeavors that He has given for us to do, which is to love one another, which is the only commandment that He has given us, which is the fulfillment of the law. And so, that being said, let us go hence and shalom, and thank you for joining us this evening.